Hello everyone, my name is Takeda Gaming, and today I begin my coverage of the Dark Souls 3 Ringed City DLC, the last piece of Soulsborne content we may ever receive. This portion of the coverage and the playthrough is just going to be kind of short. This is all post-commentary because this first boss and the area leading up to it were available, I think, as a demo, and were clips that sources like IGN had already uploaded full playthroughs on. So I didn't want to meddle so much on that. But yeah, I had a great time exploring the first few areas. So this is the old hag NPC. She sells some items and she gives you the split leaf greatsword. I haven't got the chance to use it yet, but the weapon art is pretty cool. Along the way, you'll find these messages accompanied by the ghost of Slave Knight Gale, and he just tells you stuff like, "Don't worry, this drop won't kill you because otherwise, most Souls players would know better than to jump off a cliff." And this one in particular really got me. It's such a tall drop that it just made my heart sink. Had a very visceral feeling to it. Throughout the levels, you find these angels. They're controlled by pilgrims that are sort of like their hosts. And the scary thing about these angels is you may think that you can outrun them or roll through their sort of light barrage attacks. The ones that Lorien did. Or sorry, not Lorien, but Lothric did. But the problem with that is every time they launch another barrage of these light spears at you, the number is like multiplied. So there are just way too many for you to ever roll through. And so you have to hide out of their sight until they lose track of you. And that sort of resets it. So the next time they fire a barrage at you, it'll be at the number it was to begin with. And at that level, you can just sprint past it. You don't even have to roll. These two Lothric Knights were probably the hardest enemies in the entire area. I beat them just for the sake of completion, but after that I didn't bother fighting them again because it just became a nuisance, really. Here's the host for the Pilgrim Butterfly, and you can kill it in probably one shot with a charged R2. They've got about 1,000 health or something, but I'm on New Game Plus 3. And the butterfly itself is a non-respawning enemy, so once you've dealt with its host, you don't have to deal with it again. Here's another nice plunge from Gale. This one maybe even taller than the first one through the window. And it leads you back to fucking just bad memories, man. Bad time. Earthen Peak, Harvest Valley, Dark Souls 2. Hell yeah. So you sort of traverse this level, and as you go through it, there are two of the Pilgrim Butterflies, or the angels, that follow you around, and not only do they cast their light spears at you in barrages, they can also curse the area around you. And if you stand in it long enough, you will just die. So that's not fun. Also around this area are a bunch of the little thrall enemies. Here you can see just how many light spears end up being thrown at you. The longer I was within its attack range, the more spears come down, and eventually it's just, there's no way you can dodge that. It's too many. Here's another Herald Knight that you can find in the area. They're really satisfying to fight. It's like Shadow of the Colossus, Dragon's Dogma type thing. They are definitely doable without doing the plunge attack on their heads, but it's really satisfying to kill them that way. Here we find our first NPC enemy. This is Pyromancer Zoe. She uses a variety of pyromancies and a whip. Although the whip doesn't seem to have any special properties. It's not like it deals fire damage or anything, or it bleeds you. It's just a whip. But I took great care not to be struck by her pyromancies, because if the Desert Pyromancers in Dark Souls 2 were of any indication, that shit hurts. And here, she fucks me up with that whip, but I get her with a rolling attack. She gives you the Flame Fan Pyromancy. I have yet to try it out. Here, Gale tells you to jump through this, like, abandoned, fallen old fucking windmill, I'm guessing it once was. Find the bonfire to find the boss. Now, this boss was pretty freaking awesome. I'd already seen some gameplay. Like, I knew what they looked like. I knew what the arena looked like. I didn't know their movesets, though. And I didn't know that you had to kill both of them to start the third phase, or the second phase. So, for the boss fight, I was using Murakumo with Lightning Blade, Sacred Oath, and lightning damage seemed to do pretty well against him, although I didn't try with like Dark Blade or anything. But yeah, for the first phase at least, Lightning Blade did a lot of damage. Once it transitioned to the second phase, where you're just fighting the one big bat, it dealt significantly less damage, about half or a third of the damage it was dealing originally. But you'll see, I managed. So, cool things about this fight that I learned, you can stagger them and counterattack them, which came in really handy because without knowing that, I didn't really have a strategy. But after learning that, basically what I did was I would bait them into attack and hit them with a charged R2, and then I would just sort of hope that, and yeah, in most cases that would lead them into the stun animation. There, I almost died. I was at literally like 20 health. They sort of have two modes, the bats. So they've got this mode where they're glowing and they're embered, and then they've got the mode where they're really dark. When they're embered, they're really aggressive with melee attacks. When they're dark, they use projectile and spewing attacks, namely just poison and toxic. But those attacks are pretty easy to dodge, and they also fire these beams of like explosive poison magic. As a strategy, I would recommend, in most cases, the bats will be either one or the other. I found it kind of uncommon for both of them to be aggressive or both to be using range attacks. So what you can do is just fight the one that happens to be aggressive and let the other spew shit at you, because in most cases you can see the tells before anything even comes at you. So you're going to be dodging a shit ton while you're fighting the melee one anyways. So another roll here and there isn't such a big deal. And if you do happen to get caught by it, I did not find that it even dealt like a terrible amount of damage. Getting hit by like an explosive poison beam, but the toxic was kind of a pain. So here we have the second phase, the Demon Prince, I think, right? Demon Prince. Now, I know there are two versions of the fight, and I don't know if I got the easier one or the harder one. I think I got the easier one because it felt kind of easy, to be honest. He had very few moves. Like, within the first couple minutes, I was able to discern all his notable attacks. Like, that one is really no big deal. It doesn't even have like a tricky sort of delay to it that baits you into dodging when you shouldn't. This meteor thing is kind of annoying, but the trick is when you see him casting it, you just have to stick to him. And same with the big fireball. You just have to stick to him because once he jumps backwards and tries to blow that gust of wind at you, if you're right on top of him, it doesn't blow you back, and you can just keep attacking him, and the fireballs will probably not hit you. And you can also stand behind him, and I think his body sort of blocks a bunch of the projectiles. You don't want to let him finish casting the really big Spirit Bomb looking fireball, because that's how that Meteor Storm happens, and that does a lot of damage. And yeah, the rest of his attacks are really simple to dodge. Like here, he goes up to do the two like Chaos Orbs again, and it really wasn't a big deal because I didn't get blown back away from him. And I just use this as cover, and then I bum rush him when he goes to cast the big ball. And you can see that staggers him out of the animation. And what I noticed, although I haven't been able to test this again, but this is a guess that when he gets knocked out of the animation for charging up that fireball, the meteors that it spawns are undirected, meaning they don't follow you the way a normal projectile would. They just fall in place, so it's really easy to avoid. Here I almost die again, so that's twice this fight that I've had a really close encounter with death. And I'm down to 4 Estus now, but keeping close to him and just like attacking him using the old strategy of standing between the big monster's legs, that works really well, and you can still critical hit the big bat. There you go for the charge dart 2, and then he does his meteor thing, but that always seems to land in front of him, so as long as you're underneath him, it's almost as if you don't have to dodge it. He hits me again here with his double fisting slam, but it wasn't really lethal or anything, so not a big deal. That attack, I think, will probably kill some people, his claw coming up from behind and scraping forward, because it's not as predictable as the other ones. And as you can see, another critical, he's really easy on the critical animations. It's not hard at all to lock him into one. Here he flies up again, and he jumps back to cast the big fireball, but again, with 2 Estus left, I run behind him, hoping that his body will absorb some of the fireballs, and I swing twice, but then I die to the meteors, but I do down him in the end, so it's all good. And that'll be it for this time, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, leave a favorite, subscribe to the channel, do whatever, fuck it. Thank you.